History is full of strange, unbelievable events, some so bizarre that they sound like fiction. Imagine an army losing a battle to a swarm of bees, or a war that lasted 38 minutes. Yes, these things actually happened. So buckle up as we count down the top 10 most bizarre historical events you won't believe happened. Let's dive in. Number 10. The Great Emu War, 1932. Australia has fought many wars, but did you know they once waged war against emus? In 1932, Australia was facing an overpopulation of 20,000 emus ravaging farmland. The government sent soldiers armed with machine guns to deal with the birds. But here's the kicker. The emus won. The birds outran bullets, dodged traps, and after weeks of fighting, the military admitted defeat. To this day, the Great Emu War remains one of the strangest military failures in history. Number 9. The Dancing Plague, 1518. In 1518, a small town in France was hit by a mysterious dancing plague. Hundreds of people started dancing uncontrollably in the streets, and they couldn't stop. Some danced for days, collapsing from exhaustion. A few even danced to death. Historians believe it was caused by mass hysteria or possibly a hallucinogenic fungus in their food. Either way, it remains one of the strangest unexplained events in history. Number 8. The War That Lasted 38 Minutes, 1896. Wars usually last months or years, but the Anglo-Zanzibar War in 1896 lasted just 38 minutes, making it the shortest war in history. It began when the Sultan of Zanzibar refused to step down after the British ordered him to. In response, the British bombed his palace, and within 38 minutes, he surrendered. And just like that, the war was over before most people even knew it had started. Number 7. The Time It Rained Meat, 1876. In 1876, a small town in Kentucky experienced something truly bizarre. It rained meat from the sky. Chunks of raw, bloody meat started falling over the town, covering streets and rooftops. Scientists later determined it was likely buzzards vomiting mid-flight, but no one knows for sure. Imagine walking outside and suddenly getting hit by mystery meat from the heavens. Definitely one of history's weirdest weather events. Number 6. The Man Who Survived Both Atomic Bombs, 1945. In 1945, Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima when the first atomic bomb dropped. He survived with burns and injuries. Seeking safety, he traveled back to his hometown, Nagasaki. 3 days later, he was hit by the second atomic bomb. Yet, despite surviving 2 nuclear blasts, he lived to be 93 years old, making him one of history's most unbelievable survivors. Number 5. The Day the Mississippi River Flowed Backward, 1811. Rivers don't just change direction, but the Mississippi River did in 1811 after one of the strongest earthquakes in U.S. history. The quake was so powerful that it made the river flow backward for hours. It also created new lakes and permanently altered the landscape. It remains one of the strangest natural disasters ever recorded. Number 4. The Battle of the Bees, 1521. Armies have lost battles to soldiers, bad weather, and bees. In 1521, a Spanish army invading Central America faced an unexpected weapon: a swarm of angry bees unleashed by the native defenders. The bees stung soldiers, caused chaos, and forced the Spanish to retreat, proving that sometimes nature is the best defense. Number 3. The Exploding Whale Incident, 1970. In 1970, a dead whale washed up on the Oregon coast. Instead of moving it, officials decided to blow it up with dynamite. The idea? The explosion would scatter the remains for scavengers to eat. Instead, giant chunks of whale meat flew everywhere, crushing cars and covering people in rotting blubber. It was so ridiculous that it became an internet legend, proving that sometimes the worst ideas make history. Number 2. The London Beer Flood, 1814. In 1814, a giant beer vat exploded in London, sending a 15-foot high wave of beer crashing through the streets. The flood destroyed buildings, trapped people, and even killed 8 people. Not from drowning, but from drinking too much beer off the streets. It sounds like a dream gone wrong, but this beer tsunami really happened. Number 1. The Great Molasses Flood, 1919. And finally, the weirdest disaster in history. The Great Molasses Flood, 1919. In Boston, a huge storage tank of molasses burst, releasing a 35-foot wave of sticky syrup. Buildings were crushed, streets were flooded, and people got trapped in molasses quicksand. It took months to clean up, and the city smelled like molasses for decades. Yes, an entire city was nearly destroyed by a flood of syrup, and that's why it's the most bizarre event in history. And there you have it, the top 10 most bizarre historical events you won't believe happened. Which one shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. If you love this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insane history stories. See you next time!